last of its kind. A slippery brute that has the distinction of being the only remaining rear-wheel drive, naturally aspirated sports car you can still buy today. Yes, there's the four-potters from Toyota and Mazda, but this is a barrel-chested V6 clutching on at a time when even the likes of M Division and AMG have turbocharged their entire ranges, as has Audi, and predictably all the hot hatchback manufacturers as well. What makes the 370Z great then, truly great, is the fact that it's still naturally aspirated, despite the constant hybridization of everything from the Toyota Prius to the supercar. This one still does it in a traditional way, and that means a manual gearbox, so that makes it like twice as pure. To appreciate how special the 370Z really is, you need to understand where it's come from. Japan. In 1969, Nissan decided to create an affordable sports car to challenge rivals from Europe and the USA, and in doing so created something that was lovingly nicknamed, amongst other things, the Japanese E-Type. That was the Fairlady-Z, also known as the 240Z, and while the A86 had initial D, this car had Wangan Midnight, where the star car was a blue 240, possessed by a malevolent spirit and was used for high-speed highway racing alongside, amongst others, a Porsche 911. But enough about the Devil Z. Next followed the 260, then the 280ZX. Essentially it grew fatter with each model, flirted with turbos at some point, before we ended up with the 350Z. This too would get the pop culture treatment, most notably in the Fast and Furious series, especially their Tokyo Drift chapter. And of course, let's not forget video games. Beyond the television, the Z has been no slouch either. It dominated the motorsport of drifting as well as actual racing. I refer, of course, to the way it won Le Mans. You might have heard of this little event in 1994 before being banned. Kind of the same way its big brother, the GTR, was eliminated for competition after winning the Bathurst over and over. Am I right? Earlier this year, I was lucky enough to drive the 280ZX. I even had the privilege of driving a 140Z on the same day. Both are part of one of the biggest collections of Datsuns in the world, and it's right here in Borderville, South Africa. I've also once had the honor of seeing these things running in the wild on the C1 highway loop around Tokyo, Japan. Not to mention on that same trip a visit to the Zamo Heritage Museum, where I saw Zs of every description, race cars and production cars. But wait, there's more. Like the time I drove a 370Z convertible across South Africa. That was a 3,600k adventure. Then there's the time I spent an afternoon in Kimberley learning to drift one. There's a lot of history between this car and me. I love this little car. There's purity here, a return to the basics, a 245 kilowatt engine up front, 363 Newton meters being sent in the back, 6 gears, keeping my left hand engaged. It's all good for a 5.3 second to 100 sprint, and a top speed, which we won't achieve today, of 250k an hour. Lovely. Sure, there are cheaper cars, less powerful cars, and ones with smaller engines that will all beat it over the quarter mile, but chances are they're unnaturally aspirated, boosted, and as the driver I'm sure you're more than just a bit removed from the whole experience. And while they'll eventually inherit the earth, the 370Z can still be enjoyed today, raucously and with a big fat grin on your face. It's true that it's 9 years old, and not exactly cheap, but in my opinion, at about the price of 2 Toyota Corollas, it makes a strong case as a bargain. What else could you get at this price with a 45-year-old heritage, a teardrop at pace profile, and a buzzy engine that sounds as good as it goes? This latest facelifted 2018 version even gets a tiny raft of updates such as new 19-inch hoops, darkened headlamps and chrome door handles. Mechanically, there's a new XLE clutch to swap those 6 cogs for you, and lastly, there's a big, fat, juicy 6-year warranty to sink your teeth into. So don't come here looking for a poor man's GTR or Cayman or TT even for that matter. The 370 is a Z car, and that's a badge of honor. It's a badge of distinction. An old samurai that can still swing its sword with the best of them, which is precisely what I'm about to do.